Hey, welcome in everybody to another edition of Pink Show. We finally have football to talk about, and I can stop talking about what I want to see, what we hope to see, what we might see. We have now seen it. At least, 15, 20 minutes of it. So not a great portion, not like a enough to make any crazy stances on. Other than Byron Brown's throwing motion, which was all over Twitter and all over the internet. We'll talk about that. I mean, we've been watching film here, so that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that watches this. Shout out to my boy Rice, who said that to Doc Dumpster on the board the other day. I saw you. I see you. I see you out there, Rice. I'm not going to forget about you. Um, but I want to talk a lot today about practice, what we saw from practice, what I saw specifically from practice, and I only watched the offensive side. Caleb Jones was on defense. We might switch that up eventually, but I wanted to see the offense. I wanted to see how Byron Brown looked. I wanted to see how the offensive line did things. More than anything, I think I wanted to see how coaches went about their business, because that to me is maybe the number one thing I can point to for differences. Now, again, when I say things like that, I'm not bashing the last staff. They obviously know what they're doing. They've done it other places. It didn't work out at Auburn. Doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. They didn't get it done at Auburn. That's the bottom line. But the practice structure is totally different. You've heard that word a lot. We're going to take a deep dive into why it's different. Not just that it is, but why. Why is it different? What was different? What was the same? I don't think a lot was the same personally. I think a lot was different. So we're going to talk a lot about that. So I'll start just with some spring practice observations, just some quick hitters, things that I saw right when I walk out there. The very first person I see is Xavier Newsome, tight end, transfer from Howard. I get Howard and Hampton confused every time. I think it's Howard. Freak show frame is what I wrote. And I mean, the whole tight end group altogether is different looking. I mean, Jake Johnson is, you could put him out there with the receivers. He would fit in. He's like a jumbo athlete. He looks a little bit different. He runs so well as a big tight end and at his size. And Newsome, man, I think he's got a future at edge, but he's at tight end right now. We'll see how that plays out. That guy is different. He's like 6'7", 255, something ridiculous like that. So I'm very impressed with what I saw from him. Now his hands need work. I saw him drop a couple, or at least one. I shouldn't go as far to say a couple, but I saw one drop. Then I was like, okay, his knees work there. So he's raw. I don't know if he's going to play, but my goodness, he's got the look. Warm-ups were different. Usually during warm-ups when we go to practice, which is, 35% of what we get to see during our viewing window, I'm usually like on my phone, maybe talking to somebody because there's not really much to pay attention to. Maybe it being the first time, there was a lot to pay attention to. I mean, they're doing totally different stretches. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the sprint learning system. I saw a little bit of that going on. We did that in college. SLS, sprint learning system, where you're basically over exaggerating and slowing down the motions of running into like stretch form. So you're getting that muscle memory with it and building on it. So I like to see that. I was just kind of impressed with how the coaches were involved in that part, and not just, hey, I'm the offensive line coach, I'm hanging out around my offensive lineman. No, I'm bouncing around to the edges. I'm talking to the DBs if I'm the offensive line coach. It's almost as if they had a talk before they got out there and said, hey, you better tap everybody up. You better talk. You better get everybody ready. And one thing I heard from one of the coaches, and I don't remember who it was, it's an assistant that's not a main position coach. I heard him get up in somebody's face and grab their face mask. Are you ready for this? Are you sure? Are you ready? It's time to go. It's time to go. So I really like that. The intensity, they wanted to be intentional about the intensity from the coaches. It starts there into the players. Of course, I can tell they were priming everybody for you're about to go through something that you maybe aren't used to, especially the guys that have been there now. These USF guys, they kind of know what to expect. I mean, they had a step on day one, but they have walkthroughs and things before this starts, so they have an idea of what's going on. But everything looked pretty good to me. It looked like it was efficient. I think they stole reps. What do I mean by that? This is coming from somebody on staff. He made a good point to me. We're going to steal every rep we can. We're going to use every second of our practice clock to get every rep we can for every single person, no matter what their standing is on the depth chart, whatever, right? We're going to make the most of our reps. And I think they did that. I was impressed. With that. I've seen it before where coaches, and this may change over time because it's just how things go. Day one, everybody's kind of on their toes, right? I want to see how long that lasts, right? Because I watch coaches, and they did not look relaxed at all, which to me is big time. I've seen it before where coaches are just relaxed. They kind of got a laid back body language. Like, this is just another day. Here we are. We're going to get to it in a minute. That was not the case here at practice number one for spring. It was everybody is – it's like the coaches have been coached up to do a certain thing. Like I said, huge. I'll give you a story. I think I've told this story before. And I'll tell it again because it's relevant right now. When I was at Huntington, I did a lot of different things, wore a lot of different hats. I was just trying to earn a role at Huntington. And if you don't know about Huntington, it's a D3 college for football in Montgomery, Alabama. Pretty good D3 school, by the way. They've been really competitive. We got a ring when I was there for a conference championship. They won it again after I left 2 years in a row, I think. So, pretty good school for that league. I was trying to work up in a role. I started like as a film guy where I was actually doing the filming at practice. I hated it. And then I worked up from that to actually cutting up the film for the coaches to watch, putting play identification on film so they don't have to sit there and watch the play 3 times during the staff meeting and go, all right, here's inside zone. I got it now. It's on the screen, inside zone. Here's the inside zone for you. Right. I was doing that. And then I worked up to being a weight room assistant or strength and conditioning assistant, helping out with that, while also started out with linebackers. That didn't last very long because I wanted to do offensive line. I ended up moving to offensive line, did that for about a year and a half, 2 years, to the point where I actually was given some freshmen like on the field. Here, you take the freshman over here. I'll take the other guys, run some drills with them, that kind of thing. So that's about as far as I made it. But in the weight room, as an assistant, when I was doing this, I was watching someone do some hang cleans. And to my eye at the time, I thought, okay, he's not very good at it, but getting the job done. All of a sudden, I feel this presence behind me. It was our Coach Goodyear, our strength and conditioning coach, who was one of the best I've ever seen. Unbelievable. He's behind me. He blows the whistle. It gets everyone's attention. And he calls me out in front of everybody. And I'm a coach at this point. I'm trying to be over these guys, right, and teach them and have a presence over them. And he calls me out, blows the whistle. This guy right here doesn't want us to win. This guy right here, he's not intense enough for what we do. And kicked me out of the weight room. I mean, he had a problem with me seeing that the guy's bar speed on a hang clean, meaning how fast he got it up into hang position, clean position. He did not like how I coached that. He thought I let it go, and he kicked me out, and he gave me one more shot. And I promise you this, when I came back after being kicked out and embarrassed like that in front of the entire football team, I found a different animal. I found a voice. I started speaking up. I started telling these guys what to do. I noticed when somebody's bar speed was not right. Okay, I tell you all that to liken it to what I've seen now at practice, where all these coaches, they have an intensity about them. And I'm talking back not just your position coaches, I mean, of course they're going to be that way. It's like the assistants, the ones that are trying to earn a role or move up in the world of coaching. Boy, those guys did a lot of coaching. A lot of coaching. Like they know what's going on. Not only do they know, but they have confidence to step in, while a position coach like Cody Burns or Larry Porter or whoever, Vontrell King Williams, step in and coach. And they're not afraid to do it. They have a voice. So what does that tell me? I know they've been held accountable before, because I've been there, and it sucks, by the way. But you'll never forget it. You never forget it. Some people go, hey, that's not really the style I like as a coach. I don't want to embarrass anybody. Sometimes that's the way. As much as I hated it, as much as I thought about quitting, as much as I was like, I'm done, I'm never stepping foot in there again, that was embarrassing. Man, it made me better from that day, from that moment. So I know these guys are going through that a little bit. And I don't know if it's the same way, but I know at least there's some coaching going on to those guys so that they know what they're doing, so that they have a voice, so that they're able to hold everybody accountable, to eventually, of course, get it to the players where you're not having to step in as much and they know how to handle it. If a guy does a rep wrong, maybe a young guy like Brian Williams, a freshman that comes in, a guy like Keyshawn Singleton steps in and says and does the job that these guys have been doing, because they know that wasn't it. That wasn't our standard. Keyshawn Singleton's probably not a good example because he already knows. Maybe a Bryce Kane, right? Somebody that's been on the team, but he's a little bit older. He starts to understand what the standard is, and he holds everybody else accountable. That's where you're trying to get to. That's when you start being a good football team. And they're not there yet. They would tell you this. They're trying to get there. I think having these young assistant coaches have a voice like that is such a big deal. One of the things, again, absolutely nothing goes uncoached. Nothing's going uncoached. I did not see one little, and again, I have experience in this. If there's anything I have experience in the coaching world, I mean, X's and O's, I scratch the surface on that. I do the best I can to portray it to you, right? But when it comes to standard, when it comes to doing things the way that has to be done, Golesh said it in his press conference. Everything you let slip becomes your culture. Everything you let go, everything you don't coach, right? Before he said that, I wrote this in the practice takeaways. So, I'll pat myself on the back. I'm giving myself a little credit here because I saw it. An example, Duke Smith catches the football, boom, catches it, puts it in his, tucks it. And that's exactly how it looked. Catch, tuck. Notice my eyes are still looking forward. An assistant coach comes sprinting to him from like the middle of the field all the way to where Duke Smith is running and jogging back to get into the drill. And he stops him and he goes with some intensity. And this is not Cody Burns. This is a receiver's assistant. He goes, I've told you have to look that ball in. You have to look that ball in. It has to be done. Get it right. And what does he mean by that? Catch. You look it in, right? You don't just tuck it in, you look it in. This is what stops some of those things that we've seen, like these fumbles or when they get hit, getting the ball jarred loose. When you look it in, you got total concentration on that football. I've been told this forever. My dad, who coached me when I was younger, thinking I was going to be a skill player, he was sadly mistaken, taught me this. I knew it, right? I've seen guys at Auburn not do it, especially your Cam Colemans and your guys that were like superstars, because they're superstars. I guess we don't coach them like that. I had a real problem with that. I pointed it out a few times a year ago. And, you saw it come to fruition in games, especially like in the Iron Bowl. You saw Cam Coleman drop these easy balls when he can go and make some spectacular Spider-Man-like catches, right? Why do you drop balls like that if you can make those catches? That doesn't compute. I think with a guy like Alex Golesh, he's got a top down to the rest of the staff where it not only does it not compute for him, for a guy who can make a catch like that to drop an easy one, now the entire staff understands it. And I saw it on day one. Not to get too dramatic, because we haven't even put the pads on yet. And when I asked a coach on staff, an insider, we'll say insider, but a coach on staff, directly, is anybody standing out to you? This is off the record, of course. Anybody starting to catch your eye? His response to me was, I don't know yet. We hadn't put the pads on. When we put the pads on, I'll know whose fight or flight is going to kick in, to paraphrase for him. In other words, they look great today, but I ain't giving you a name because they have not put the pads on. They have not been thrown into the fire yet. When that happens, they find out they separate the men from the boys. And I haven't heard a coach say that to me. They usually give me some names right off the bat. And that's another thing I wanted to point out, and maybe the difference in this staff and the previous staff, and from guys I've talked to on this staff, from all the people I talked to on the other staff. It was always with the other staff, and they're not wrong. I want to be clear. The other staff is not wrong for this. They're right. You have to have talent. When I asked, how's things going? What do you think this year? Do you think y'all got a better chance? All of this off the record, of course. Man, I think we're finally there. I think we finally got the talent we need. I think we finally match up with everybody. I think we finally have enough at linebacker. I think we finally have enough on the defensive front. When you ask this staff questions like this, and I have, what do you think? How do you think you're going to match up? What do you think? We got to get some things right. We have to we need some time to get this offense going. We trust that. We trust Byron Brown. We got to earn some trust from others. We got to get this going. It's just never about talent. Now, of course, they know they've brought in some pretty good talent. They recruiting seems to be at the same high level. We'll see if they can finish on some of these guys, but they're definitely in on some of the top guys. They get it from a talent standpoint. They get it. I have no question in my mind. But when you ask them about how they're going to be as a football team, that's just not what comes out of their mouths first. It's just not. That's not their number one focus to me, based on who I've talked to so far. It's, we got to get this football team coached up right. I'm not saying the last staff didn't think that way, but they certainly believed they had to have a certain threshold of talent to be able to be good. This staff believes they can go and fight you with what they got. Not saying they don't believe in talent. Of course they do. But they believe it. It's just sort of a different mindset. We're going to go fight you. Even if we're the overmatched team in this matchup, we're fixing to fight you. And I love that. I think that's great. Yeah, knowing what to do outweighs talent. I just got some notes here that I wanted to hit on. I no longer have a worry about this football team knowing what to do or being fundamentally sound. I think they will be. Actually, I would almost go as far to say I know they will be. Now that I've seen that portion, and they've been hyping it up all the way up until this practice, the guys that I've talked to, I feel great about that portion of it. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know who to block on pass protections? Do you know where your hat's supposed to be? Do you know how to hold the ball? Not just holding it, but how to brace for contact. Do you know your steps from an offensive line standpoint? Do you know how to get off blocks on the defensive line, pass rush? Do you know how to hold your gap? Do you understand your gap responsibility? All these examples I'm giving are what I would call smaller details. And they're really not. They're big details, but they're smaller on the scale of things, right? I feel great about that part with this team. Here's my concern. Can they win their one-on-ones? Can they win enough one-on-ones to win football games in this league consistently? I think they'll win a few that maybe you won't expect them to, or that maybe the national media or whoever in Vegas doesn't expect them to. At least one. That's my prediction. They grab at least one. When everybody asks about what's your record prediction, I'll just start with this. I think they grab one you don't think they will, or Vegas doesn't, whoever. I feel pretty good about that because of how fundamentally sound they are as a football team. I think that wins in today's football. And I think it's been proven that it's starting to come full circle. Football is football. It always has been. doing the little things right is going to win you football games, even when you're overmatched. It happens. I've seen it happen. Seen it now happen with Vanderbilt. Seen it now happen with Indiana. Seen it happen. And here's the thing. I want to make this clear too. I don't think that Indiana and Vanderbilt, I mean, we know they're not like the most talented teams out there. Vanderbilt wins 10 games. Indiana wins the whole thing. How do they do that? They play great football. They have great game plans. Their guys know what they're doing all the time. Diego Pavia, when I was writing the article the other day about, should you be worried about Byron Brown's throwing motion, which we'll touch on here on the film in just a minute. He had 30 big time throws according to PFF, which I think that stat, if I'm not like gung ho about PFF. I like to go against it and combat it a little bit, but those stats are pretty clear. A big throw that's placed perfectly with, that's further downfield, at least 20 yards or more. 30 of those compared to Byron Brown's 21. It was the most I could find. Fernando Mendoza had 23. So these are huge plays, and it's hard to get those. Byron Brown had a lot of them, but these teams had a ton, and they were just doing things right, and they called it right, and they had great timing on everything. And that ends up winning you football games in today's world. I think maybe even 10 years ago, that wouldn't necessarily win some of these games, because I think that bad football is not just an Auburn problem. I think it's a problem across the board out there. I think with all the turmoil you have in the transfer portal, resetting your entire roster, I think that has resulted in worse football, bad fundamentals, not enough time to gel, chemistry. So the door is open. I think the door is open for teams like Indiana and Vanderbilt. And I think Auburn probably has a better roster than Vanderbilt. Indiana's questionable. But not that much better, probably. I think it's pretty close. But the door's open for teams who are the underdog right now. You throw in the clock rules and other things, other factors, yeah, definitely. The door's open. It's not so much that Indiana and Vanderbilt have gotten that much better. There's a little bit of a decline in the fundamentals around college football, which means the teams that do it right, they got a chance every single game, week in, week out. So I think Auburn having to start over from a roster standpoint, still wanting to build it, obviously probably not exactly where they want to be yet from a talent standpoint. They got a chance to swing at some of these big teams and knock them down. And I feel pretty good about it. I feel decent about it. And those are my reasons why. I'm not just going to tell you I feel good about it. I'm giving you the entire slate of reasons on why I believe that. Maybe just a couple more notes. Watching guys like Cody Burns and Larry Porter, I like even Cody Burns has sort of an old school approach to coaching. He beat the crap out of his guys. He has dummies on both hands, and he's working all kinds of drills with them where, like, catch the ball, they turn around. They got to look it in, of course. We talked about that. And then he's hitting at the ball, and he's hitting hard. I mean, he's gritting his teeth, like going at them. They're making them get off the press, making them block. This is why when we watch the film here, you're going to see a lot of physical plays from their receivers. That's how it was in the last game we just watched, USF and Boise. We saw Chaz Nimrod put somebody in the dirt. It's all good stuff. I can see. I already saw on film, on game film, what they were doing, and it was coming to fruition. Now I'm seeing it in practice, and I'm happy to see that. So that's probably enough on spring practice for now, because we only got, like a 20-minute, maybe not even that much window. And I don't want to go overboard because there's a lot more to see. There's a lot more to learn. That's just a few takeaways I have. I'm already very happy with what I've seen from the fundamentals standpoint. I think they've got that going on, and that's going to help make this football team better and give them a chance. So now, back half of the show, like we did last time, let's go through another USF game, USF-Florida. I'm going to that now, Zach. There we go. All right. We talked about USF Boise. Now USF goes to the swamp and takes on the Florida Gators, who, fair enough, were not all that great last year, but this is the conversation people like to have about the new staff and Byron Brown. Can they take on the teams that are on Auburn's schedule? Well, Florida's on Auburn's schedule. Florida's going to be totally different. They're going through a complete change. Again, I think the door's open. But let's talk through these plays. I'll try not to spend so much time on it. We'll go a little quicker, but certain plays I do want to break down pretty heavily. A lot of them we'll just kind of look at, and I'll talk through it. So this was the first play of the game. Number one, you see right here. Your wide alignments. Okay. Again, here's the number. They're going outside the numbers. You have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have a receiver down here at the bottom as well that's out of the screen. So they widen you out. They got a motion guy that motions out. That kicks this guy out right here. Gets him out of the box, more in the alley apex. What does apex mean? That means, boom, your tackle box, and then down to your first receiver, there's this big gap of space here, right? Anybody that lines up inside that's called your alley player or your overhang or your apex. Apex is different, but overhang or alley player. So now you've got him out in the alley. How many you got in the box? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 6 blockers for 5 guys. This, in theory, should be a huge play because it's a quarterback run. And it's going to look like a zone with your H-back lead blocker hitting that backer there, and then it just follows in your quarterback. So +1 run because you got 6 versus 5. That's what that means, +1. They don't get as much out of it as I'd like for them to. Right? Pretty good play, but I thought there was more here. I wish Byron Brown would keep his feet. That's one thing we're going to talk about here. Everybody wants to talk about his throwing motion. For things you want to criticize Brown about, I think he goes down too easily sometimes. And maybe he's going to have to. Maybe he's not that expendable where he can just run over people all the time. I don't think he is. Maybe he understands that, and maybe that's why he does this. I mean, to me, he's untouched, right? He's found a crease, and he's untouched. He should be exploding through there, and he just kind of goes down. I'm like, I want a little more from that. But let's look at our boy here. Your center, Cole Best, of course, and your right guard is Cole Skinner. Let's see what they got here. All right, they both block back. So Cole Best right here, you see he's got a hat on this guy, and he's got a hat on this guy. So you got 2 single blocks, and they both do a really good job. Cole Skinner turns this guy, gets his head across, turn on 93. That's Makai Boyro. Big nose guard. He's like 370, 360, something like that. So nice little run play to start the game. Wish Brown would have gotten a couple more yards, but you get what they're trying to do, especially with the alignment. They got the 5 in the box. That was a great +1 run play. Should have done more. I think when they go back and look on film, they're like, man, we had a lot there that we didn't quite get. All right. The slot options, man, this is such a big part of what they do. I love it. And it is a little more trendy. This is not necessarily specific to them. I've seen a lot of this. So look at all this space right here that they've created, right? Over the slot. They got this safety walked way back, and they got the 2 safety look. This time they add another hat to the box. Instead of 5, they have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the box. All right. And they've got instead of having an H back in there, they've widened someone out. Now this is Christian Neptune right here, and he's going to run your slot option. I think it's what it is. I feel really comfortable in saying that's what it is. So he's basically run into this space. He can either sit down, he can go across, or he can go this way. And in this case, he sits. And I think Brown has to know what he's going to do pre-snap based on the look from the defense. This is why tempo matters in this offense, because what if this guy, if you take forever, what if this guy sits in the box and he goes, oh, man, there's so much space over there. I got to get over here. Then you're kind of screwed. And then you start getting off on the same – you start getting him doing something different than what quarterback's thinking. So get that ball snapped, sit down, boom. Now, this is not a huge play. They kind of baited it a little bit, though. Florida did. All right, your safety right here, he's back. He's what? Let's see, almost 15 yards off of the guy he's covering, but he doesn't backpedal at the snap. He's sitting flat-footed, right? There's the snap. Look, he's actually creeping forward a little bit. Neptune knows this. The route probably is supposed to go to the sticks, which is right here. But he sees that safety bearing down a little bit. Let's go ahead and cut it off. Let's get that throw out so we can salvage. You don't want that throw getting too tight. I think they're taught it that way. Look, if that guy's creeping up on you, go ahead and cut it off. Let's get the throw. That's my theory anyway. It worked out. And it's still short of the first down line, but it's a good play. And I don't think they got the first down on that one, but we'll move on. All right, this was a really cool design. Another reason why I really, really like Christian Neptune. He's very versatile. He can do a lot of things. This is him. They line him up in the H-back position. Basically, they got this close slot here. So, again, I mean, I've showed you, 3 plays now, 4 plays, whatever, and everything's been a different look almost altogether. Kind of similar, especially on the wide side of the field. They put the receivers out there like this. But they just change the look so often, and they're making the defense have to decide, what am I going to do? How am I going to line up to this exactly? How? Everything's different. Every look is different. All right, so he's going to basically run him off. I don't know exactly what the route is. I can't remember, but he runs off. This guy comes in on a pass rush. He runs off, and he runs like a little circle sit down right around the stick, closer to the stick, like right here. And it's such a good little design. And it's 3rd and 5. So they know, all right, there's Singleton runs him off, coverage backs off. He sits down right there at the first down line, first down, Bulls. Nobody picks up the H. That's what they do. They're trying to test you. Are you gonna cover him? We'll put him here. Did you even notice his number? We're moving so fast. I bet you didn't even know that was our guy there. Tricky, a little bit tricky, but not really. I mean, it's just a normal play. It's just tricky on how you align it. Everything's about alignment to me when I look at this offense. All right. A little bit of this play gets cut off because they go massive tempo. All right, so this was the play before. They hit Neptune. They get a first down. Now they get on the ball. They go NASCAR. And the replay can't even get done before they run the ball. And it's technically a play action. And they're going to have switch routes like this, and they'll switch. And then the same thing here. I believe it looks something like that. I'm not going to get too deep into that stuff because, my understanding is not completely where it needs to be on all their routes yet. But I know what they're accomplishing here. They're trying to accomplish a deep shot off of tempo, get them flat-footed, get Florida flat-footed, right, and take a shot. And it doesn't quite work out on this one. But I like that there is an open receiver. Now, Brown misses it. Even after these guys work back to the football, I think they've got option routes or choice routes out there where they can do this. He's got an open receiver if he hits it. He does not hit it. Let's talk about the protection real quick. Basically, this goes back to what I said in the beginning of this video. How many one-on-ones can you win? This game tests that to me. Now, these are not the same offensive linemen. This left tackle is not at Auburn. They got somebody else. But the point remains, can you win some of these one-on-ones enough to get plays like these off and win? Because you got it schemed up. You got it open. Now it just comes down to winning some one-on-ones. In this case, left tackle against this guy. This guy's a better football player than him, probably. But can he win the matchup at least a few times on some of these plays? In this case, he does not. That guy rips off of him, causes pressure, messes with quarterback's timing. A good job here, good pocket presence by Brown to step up, and he works with his eyes downfield. He works laterally and turns his body so he can throw a good ball. But now, remember the throw-in motion thing. Let's talk about this real quick. Okay, he's got a long windup that comes from the hip. You've all seen it now. A lot of Auburn fans are telling you not to worry about it. Psh, don't worry about it. I'm telling you, you should be slightly concerned. I'm different on this. I'm not going as far as these internet people that are not Auburn fans and Bama fans and whoever else is pointing out like, this is the guy y'all got. No, he's a good football player. But look, when he gets in a bind like this, he's on the run. He's got a guy closing down on him. In order for him to be very accurate, he's got to go through that whole motion. That's what's comfortable to him. In this case, look how quick he's having to throw it now. He's not going through the whole motion. He's going more for a little quick flip because he doesn't have time. And where does the ball go? It's off. That's concerning. Again, they got this play schemed open. They got him coming back to the ball. They had enough time. He bought himself time to get it open. And he misses because, my theory, he's not overly comfortable in a throw like that where he's not getting to go through his entire – so on the run, right? On the run, he's not getting to go through his entire throwing motion. He's cutting it off a little bit, and that messes with his accuracy big time. So should you be worried? Everybody that said, why are we even talking about this? This is why we're talking about it. This right here, film, game film, not a little 10-second clip from practice, number 1 of spring. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about game film. We talking about practice? No, we're talking about game film. All right, next play, RPO. They love the RPO game. I would say the RPO game is sort of their base. It's not like their comfort blanket, but it's what they like to operate out of on early downs a lot of times. So you got a motion here from your kind of slot receiver that's split out pretty far. That's Neptune. And he runs this into a swing screen. So he'll swing like this, and then they got blockers out here. And this will be relevant later in the game because they have a setup play off of this, and it's beautiful. But that's one of the options. And then your run option, I believe they got outside zone going on. Okay. And that is the option that Brown decides to go with. It's a really good play. I mean, it doesn't get a ton, but it's pretty good. Florida's front plays it well, but they're kind of in a weird spot. Florida went with this 4-eye alignment. 4-eye, that's inside shoulder of your tackle. If he's outside, that's a 5. Outside shoulder's a 5. 4 eyes inside, 4 would be head up. He's inside shoulder of the tackle, almost in a 3 outside of the guard. But I call this a 4-eye, and that's on that side where they're running outside zone 2. So essentially, this is an easy block for these two. They're working a combo on this guy. He should put his his inside hand on this guy and work up, and then he should be taken over after the punch from this guy. Take over, cut him off. You're going to cut off there. And they're not really able to do that because this guy fights his tail off. He fights his tail off through there, right? He's fighting hard. He gets across. So you just kind of ride his momentum out if you're the tackle out there. And that's what I love about this play. You can get beat and still be okay. Like, he should never let that guy cross his face, this left tackle, but he does. And when he does, you're still not dead because you just carry his momentum out. Back gets about 4 or 5. I like the work from Cole Best here. And this was the drill they worked on the first day of Auburn practice was watch Cole Best here. He's working on this guy, and he's going to fight. Now, this guy's fighting hard, but he is fighting not to beat him or move him forward or vertical, but to cut him off, to not let him get across his body. Watch. Gets his hat, and he's keeping that hat in front on purpose. And he doesn't quite win, but he does enough to buy a couple of yards. And that's the beauty of the outside zone play, which they run a lot. Auburn has not run much at all, hardly at all. And it's a play that's needed to be there for a while. So love that run scheme. Glad to see it. And it is an RPO, so they have the option, and I believe a post-snap option for Brown there. They're kind of stagnant. USF was in the beginning of this game. There wasn't a lot going on offensively. They had some decent plays, and I'm showing you plays that weren't big in the scheme of the game that probably wouldn't be on the highlight tape, but we're studying the offense, right? So this is your guy, Moody Rubin, number 6, who graduated. So, I mean, I'm almost positive they would have brought him over because they like to use him in like a get the ball in his hands role, which is, I think this is kind of the role you'll see Duke Smith play in, or at least that would make sense to me. I think they have a similar skill set. Big guy, strong physical, but makes people miss, can carry the ball in open space, whatever. So he's going to come all the way across formation. They're going to throw the shoot route to him. You got blockers here, block here. And then they're running a play here. I think it's an RPO, but I'll show you why Brown does not even give the RPO run play a chance. And it's not really because of the box count. When your motion starts, how do you know what they're in? If they were in man, this cat right here would follow him all the way across, right? Oh, I don't know what I just did there. He would follow him all the way across if it were man. But it's not. He bumps over to be on top of this guy, and then he's bumping high. He's rolling down, I believe is how they do this. So that way you know it's guard. It's zone. Why did I say guard? Offensive line mind here. So then when this motion comes all the way across, Brown knows there ain't nobody running with it. And you got 2 blockers for 2 guys. Throw it immediately. The only guy that can make the play at this point is this guy. And I'll tell you, he puts in a pretty good effort on this play. But he's out of position. And it's not his fault. That's just how they schemed it. They schemed it right. And there you go. Big play there by number 6, Moody Rubin. And he gets some good blocks out there. 18 ain't doing nothing. He squares him up, and then he just lets him get by. Can't let him cross your face, bud. All right, but your outside receiver, and I believe it is Nimrod, is blocking really well. He lets it go at the end, but you're like, okay, you can kind of let that go because you don't want him to hold. He's blocking his tail off, though. And then this number 6, Rubin's running through people. That was a really big play for them. And they came back to it later. It's really nice. One thing I don't love about their run scheme, they will get their center on a nose one-on-one way more than I'm comfortable with. Either that or they just don't go through their combos quite as much. They like to get to the second level. In this case, that was bad. Cole Best is by himself against Mekhi Boyro, and that's not a good matchup here. And they're trying for a QB run, but here's your guy right here where my cursor is in the middle of this. Boyro, 93, and he's going to be one-on-one with your center, Cole Best. And you'll see it does not – he blows him up and makes the play. So in those situations, I would just rather see something where they do double that guy and maybe have a better chance, but they don't really change that. That's how they do things in those situations. It was a full zone because it was like a Okie or Bear front. Let's see. That's like a Okie front or whatever. It looks like Bear to me. They have all these names for it now. I'm not entirely sure. It's all pretty close. But it's basically a full zone where they have to block it one-on-one all the way across instead of comboing because of the numbers. So I would like to see that where they don't leave him. I mean, that's almost not fair to Best. He's way overmatched as far as size goes. Probably strength too. All right. Brown makes a play here. This is the very next play. They go right back to the QB run on 3rd and 1. They're going to put it in their guy, Byron Brown's hands. And this is a really good play call for the run scheme because, again, they got this 4-eye right here. They're just kind of tempting them to block down here, which is an easy down block if they want to do it. And in this case, they do. They block down, and they pull this guy. It's like a dart play. And he gets the outside guy who comes down. And I believe, too, there's no read here. It's just a running back lead. He's like the lead blocker, and he's going to follow him after the fake. I believe that's what this play is. The guy comes free through the A-gap because they are full zoning all the way across, so there's nobody to block this blitzing linebacker. He comes free. Brown gets away from it, makes a fantastic cut, and then gets down after he gets a lot of yardage. Very, very good job here. That's a big play. That was on 3rd and 1. Look at Nimrod. Love it. Okay, I think this is the next play. 1st down, they're going tempo after they get a 1st down. Here comes the motion. You see here again for the coverage aspect of it. He's rolling up. He's rolling down. So we know they're in zone. You know that. Right? Well, I say that. They just switched man responsibilities there because now they're manned up. They switched instead of going all the way across. They switched responsibilities with the motion, which I'm sure whoever's in the box is going to see that and notate it to whoever the play caller is. Man, this is good protection right here. That's great protection. You can't ask for much better than that. Nimrod runs like a dig across the field at the 1st down line or an in route, whatever you want to call that. It's not really a crosser because it's more of a defined hard cut into the middle of the field. And the ball was behind him a little bit. Now, the pocket's good. Now, this play needs a minute. Brown goes through his entire throwing motion there. He's just a little behind. And he'll miss, everybody misses some every once in a while. He's got a lot of hits, but he'll miss some every once in a while. And I think Nimrod had enough separation here to where he could have put it on his number and made a play, but it doesn't happen. But I want you to look at the protection here. Your boys, again, center Cole Best, right guard Cole Skinner. Let's look at Best first. He's keeping a post hand on this guy while he's keeping tabs on his other gap. Very, very good. When he realizes he got nothing coming, all right, I'm going to turn and get him. Now, late, that linebacker comes, and what does he do? Get a hat on it. Doesn't really stop it, but I can see what he's trying to do, and I appreciate that. Cole Skinner's 1-on-1 on this guy. Again, I believe it's Boyro. And he holds his ground nicely. Now, later in the game, I'll show you this. Cole Skinner pisses, I don't know if it's him. He pisses somebody else off. He gets under their skin and gets a big penalty out of it. You'll love that. But that's a great job by Cole Skinner right there. I don't want his feet to go dead. His feet go dead right here. You need a post foot. He's got his feet square. You don't want that. You want a post foot to stop that momentum and anchor. But he doesn't anchor real well, but he's done such a good job that he buys a lot of time here, and he resets his feet. Wish they would have completed that one because that was all really nice. All right, moving on. Again, they start changing this scheme. They see this 4-eye, and they're like, if you're going to do that to us, we're going to block it down. What am I talking about? Right here. There's your 4-eye, this guy right here. That's the 4. He's actually really a 3, and then you have a walk up wide technique there. So they just block down that 4-eye and run off of it. And again, this is your dart play, so your or wrap. That's what it turns into. Your backside tackle pulls. He ends up kicking this guy, who is the first threat on the edge. Kick, and it's counter because you have an H. So it's like TH counter, basically. Dart counter, whatever. I don't know. But that's what that's what it is. I can draw it up for you. I don't know what they call it. So kick, and then you got a lead. Running back goes right behind it. That's a nice little gash run play right there. Can they run on defenses like Florida? Example A. There you go. They can. Can they do it consistently? I don't know yet. Didn't really do it in this game, but had some big runs. Had some really powerful runs at the end of the game. I'll show you that. Again, Brown slips easy, man. This is 3rd and 2. Same little running back lead play with the puller, dart. Got it all blocked up well. Just bounce it outside and pick up the first down, but he slips. He does this a lot. It kills me. Stay on your feet. This was a cool play. It's a sprint out, and again, let's see. They went tempo, so the camera can't even catch it. But everybody's lined up on this side of the formation. He runs like a deep post. He's going to run underneath it. I can't remember what he does, something like that. I believe is how it goes. Nope, I had the wrong guy. They both run underneath it. So deep post, underneath is what that looks like. But it's a sprint out. It's not in the pocket. He's sprinting, and you see he's tucked the ball like he's actually going to run like a sweep. And he's got a lead blocker out here, and they block it like gap protection, all one side. And then he pulls up and throws. And he throws it to the deep guy that's covered. I wish he would have seen right here. This is the one that's coming open, but you see he's already in his throwing motion. So he's going deep this whole time. They wanted to take a deep shot. Actually puts it in his hands in between 3 defenders. Hard to argue with that throw. That's pretty dang good. Just maybe not the best decision, but the throw's good. Right in his hands. He gets hit right, and he just couldn't make the play. But that was a cool play. I liked that. They're not afraid to take their shots. Not afraid. 3rd and long. They're not quite in field goal range. They're in what I call no man's land, where if they don't get the first down, they can get close. They're not quite in field goal range. They can go for it on 4th down. So that's what they're doing here. They run a tunnel screen to Singleton. That's out in space. You've got Cole Skinner. He goes and gets that guy, gets a hat on him. I wish he'd run his feet and stay on that guy, and they got maybe a better chance, but he's not the one that makes the tackle. This is a pretty decent job by Skinner, actually. It's not bad. Stay on the block a little bit longer. That's what I would tell him. And then Singleton makes a nice play, not enough to get the first down. Great tackle by that safety for Florida. But now you've got a 4th and manageable. And what does South Florida do? Are they going to sit there and think about it, and this is what we're going to call, or are we going to go tempo and see if we can catch you? And what do? They go NASCAR tempo on 4th and 2. They don't even hesitate. They throw a deep ball, doesn't work. But hey, we got a substitution penalty. First down Bulls, baby. Is Alex Golesh satisfied with that? No. He's upset. He wants pass interference. I don't know if sound works on here. Anyway, they got a substitution there. Zach, let me know if the sound works in there. I'm not sure. But anyway, All right, moving on. All right, here's your setup play off of the swing screen. Remember, before I show you this play, what they ran earlier was motion across, swing route, block, block. All right. This time, same thing, swing route. Act like you're blocking, release inside. I've got 3 linemen releasing for a middle screen. Freaking beautiful play call. Design. Look at that. He catches it in front of the line of scrimmage, but whatever. It worked. Pretty good by Cole Best. Gets a first down out of it. That's a big play. That's just a beautiful play call. And they did it on an uncharacteristic down. First down, this is usually when they like their RPO stuff. They show screen, and it looks like the RPO they ran earlier in the play, but it ain't. It's a middle screen. That's great. That's where you can start winning some ball games with play calls like that. Catch them in, you're just constantly catching the defense flat-footed to where you're not having to win one-on-ones all game long. You're just out scheming them. That's going to happen. I think they can do this. All right. They get the first down. I think this is the next play, or it's a couple plays later, but I just want to show I don't really care about the play much here. They just take a shot at their guy Singleton. It's double coverage. The safety gets over in there. They're just not afraid. 1st and 10. Okay, we finally got in the red zone. Let's take it easy. No, we're taking a shot at the end zone. We're going to push the envelope. We're punching up, right? Punching up. I don't think they score there. I think they get 3 out of it. Let's move on. Okay. Zach says the sound doesn't work. So, sorry. In advance, you'll have to see me just sit there for like 10 seconds without saying anything. All right. I wrote throwing motion issue here. Back to this, right? All right. He's got nothing open. He's going to check down to a swing here. He's got pressure, so he makes that motion a lot faster than what he's used to. He doesn't get to draw it out. I'm under pressure. Flip it. Not good. Just an easy throw he can't make right there. So this is where I get concerned. I say pay attention to it. Let's see. All right. Screen. Here's another screen. They screen you to death. They formation you to death. They screen you to death. This is just their version of a slow screen to the running back. 15 is really good, by the way, with the ball in his hands. Really, the offensive lineman out in space didn't. Well, that's a pretty good block by that guy. Best helps him out a little bit. Skinner gets a hat on a guy, doesn't stay on it very long, but pushes him off. I mean, they get a great play out of this. Not much to critique there. Good play call, too. Liked that. And that was on first down. They really keep you guessing on first down. They do all kinds of different things. The whole playbook's open. I love that. This is they love this little quick game throw. This is Nimrod, single receiver. He'll just sit down right here and take up coverage, and he's just going to run out in the flats, and they'll just toss it to him. Simple and easy. Don't have to worry about winning one-on-ones there. You just scheme to play up for about 7 yards. I wrote Skinner stay up. They busted a big run right here on him. 15. That dude's a baller with the ball in his hands. Boom. Gosh, that's a nice move. Get you some. What's the play? Looks like dart again to me. It is. Again, they're taking advantage of this 4-eye. Yep. Let's see. And they catch them quick. Again, they're going tempo. Down block. This easy down block on this 4-eye. So the only guy left is him. He's sitting there almost like a read guy, but they don't read it. They're kicking him. Or in this case, since he squeezes, your pulling tackle wraps him, which means he gets on the outside of him and closes him down, and then the running back sees it, bounces it. And that's why this play's so good. You can do it so many different ways. You kind of just take what they give you. Huge play, huge run by 15 right there. That was their explosive run for the game. They always have one. They find a way to get one. Why do I love Christian Neptune? Plays like these. Neptune is running a slot option right here. He's going to run, his slot option. It makes it look kind of like a whip, but I think it's an option where he's going left or right or sitting down. Play gets away to the other side. I think a scramble by Brown. He doesn't have anything that he likes. Look at Neptune. Hustling. Full sprint to get to the other side of the field. I'm going to go get a hat on somebody. Doesn't really do anything. Doesn't change the course of the play, but that's still very – these kind of things can change the course of plays. Now, this comes back for holding, so it doesn't matter, but I just love the effort. There he is. He comes sprinting. Look, he's digging. I'm gonna hit somebody. Love that. Perfect timing. All right, this is nice. This is where that chemistry comes in. Again, pocket's nice. Byron Brown's working that pocket really nicely. These are all deep choice routes, I think. I feel pretty good about saying that. It's not a comeback. A comeback is a designed route where he's going to run off the guy and then come back at an angle. That's a comeback. This is not that. This is he's turning this way. So that leads me to believe he's doing that at a certain depth when he sees this guy turn his hips. Now, the same thing happens here. The guy flips his hips, so he comes back. Or if the guy sat still, he'd just go over the top. I think that's how this works. Needed time for that to develop, and he got it. And Brown steps up in that pocket beautifully. Perfect throw to Neptune. Perfect timing. Throws it right on the break. And then what does Neptune do? He gets yards after the catch. Consistently. Slips the tackle, gets about 3 or 4 more yards. Let's see what Best and Skinner are doing here. Best, very good. Great work by Skinner and Best. Again, that's your center and your right guard here. What's going to happen is Skinner has kind of a rough start to this one, but him and Best are on the same page. So they're both on this guy right now. Remember, this big gap right here that's open, you see it right here. That's Skinner's responsibility as well as the tackle's responsibility, but he's engaged. So is Skinner, but he's got help because Best's other responsibility is his A gap, which he's helping him with right here. So when Skinner feels that he's passed off this guy to Best, he works back to his gap. Now he's helping. That's good pass protection. Winning one-on-ones? Maybe not. Well, they are here. They're winning one-on-ones, but you're not really having to worry about it. You're just doing it right. The tackle's got to win their one-on-ones in this situation, and they both do a really good job. Gets the ball out, slips the tackle, gets a few more extra yards. That was a big play. This is right before half. You see 15 seconds there. So they're hustling to try to get some points on the board. All right, this was like the last play that they get. Byron Brown makes a Superman play. He's got the trips over there. It's basically like streaks, verticals with your inside guy crossing deep. Not there. Doesn't like it. He gets pressured pretty quick too. It's not a good job between left guard and left tackle. They let this guy come through the gap. Can't let that happen. Got to pass him down and then take the outside guy. It's a twist. They just didn't handle it very well. So Brown's under pressure quicker than he wants, but shakes off the tackle, shakes through another one, runs by a couple people, trying to get out of bounds or score. Once he's here, he's like, I can't get out of bounds. Let me just try to make a move and score. They do have a timeout, so he knows they got a timeout. He's trying to score. He's close, not going to happen. So they get the timeout in, kick a field goal, and they get 3 points on the board before half. And that was a very well managed drive to get that done. All right. I just want to show this because they run basically the same play, but they make it look different every time. Not every time, but a lot of times they can. So they get this look where these guys are backed off pretty far. Again, they're widened out. This guy's right around the numbers, so he's pretty wide for a slot. Well, they run this. So he goes and blocks him. He runs out to the flat, then it's a screen. And the numbers pre-snap is why Brown throws over there. There's your guy Ruben again, who I would liken to Duke Smith. I think this is what they want to do with him. Give him the ball, let him work when there's space. And once again, he does a good job. All right. I like that play a lot. That's part of their RPO game. I think they go a little bit stagnant, so we'll keep moving here. Wanted to show this one. Formation got this play open, in my opinion, because they've run this so many times. Right. This look where they got the receivers pretty far split out. They got the single guy way out there. Then they slip the H-back down to attach tight end, and they just lose him. He runs a little crosser. Defense just loses him. Brown misses. Or I think it's more of a miss than a drop. It's a little too hard out in front, too hot. Need to just put that one on his number and kind of baby it to him because he's so open. He might have freaked out that he was that open. I don't know, but that's a nice little play design. I think they formationed him and messed with him. See, they had number 8 right here. This linebacker just running. Where am I going? I don't know where that guy's. They just got lost. They just do this to people. I love it. All right, here's your shoot route again after the full motion. So he's coming all the way across. This time, he's chasing. It's funny to me. It almost makes me chuckle because they get people so out of sorts. Instead of bumping up, bumping over, rolling down like they did before and they were in zone, or at least changing responsibilities, this guy's just basically going to run with him, but he loses him, and he just gets caught like, what am I supposed to do? Right around here, he's like, I don't know. Do I keep going? I mean, back up, whatever. They get the one block out there, and then they got a big play. So we're on the other hash. We're going to make you cover the entire other side of the field. Here was the turning point play of the game, and this is just the wide view after the play, the instant replay. And this is tempo. They went heavy tempo here. Look, you see Florida's not lined up at all. Snap it. We're just going to throw it to our guy. And he's gone. Terrible play by the safety in the corner, but they're not ready. Like, at the snap, this guy's still looking at the sideline trying to get the play when they snap it. The safety that gets into the play comes from here. They're banking on, I'm going to get you in a quick snap situation. You're not going to be ready. You're going to be flat-footed, and we're going to catch you off guard. And sometimes it turns into plays like these. And these kind of plays are crucial. Every once in a while you catch them like this, you can freaking score off of it. You get points on the board, and they did. They took the lead with it too. I call that the kill shot. That tempo is something serious when they get it right. All right, and then we'll walk through the fourth quarter just a little bit here. I just want to point out, I don't really care about the play here. 3rd and 13, we're throwing it on you. We're going to throw it deep. Didn't work. Threw it into double coverage to a shorter guy, but we ain't scared. Again, protection's pretty good there. Running back was a great 15. I still don't know why they didn't bring that guy over. That guy's really good. There's probably more to that story. All right. When I wrote the article Wednesday about the big time throws and the potentially dangerous throws. Here's one of your dangerous ones. I guarantee this is counted as one of those for Brown. They run the same little tight end cross that was open and missed earlier. I just showed a few minutes ago. And he throws it right at number 8, who catches it this time. Or catches the route, I should say. So there you go. Play action, throw it, dangerous throw. Be careful. Everybody has them. You got to limit them. You got to be careful with those. I'd rather see him pull that down and run or whatever. All right. With these slot options, they can tell a lot by how they choose to line up at this point in the game, too. They got an idea of how they're going to line up the things or what it looks like when they're in zone versus man. And being that he's apexed on this guy, they know they're in some kind of zone where he's going to float back. In that case, it's an easy little throw to hit the little hitch off of the option route. Yep, he floats back, throw it to the hitch. That's the first down play that goes for about 6. That's Neptune again, by the way. Modern day triple option. All right, so triple option here. I think your screen guy, I think he's your blocker. And they're reading, I guess this guy that comes down because they got a 4-eye again. Or maybe they don't even have a read because of the 4-eye. You just block him down. There's no reason to try to go underneath this guy. Just block him down. So they run like the zone read. Yep. And then a throw to Neptune. Good block out there by Singleton. He squared that one up right. He stayed with it, ran his feet, ends up taking him off of that. They get enough time for Neptune to get out there with the ball in his hand. A little sidearm throw here by Brown. That's a great play on 2nd and 4 RPO game. I don't understand my note there. Let's watch and see what we got. Oh, another great timing throw by Brown. Getting stronger as the game goes on. Why is Florida playing off so much? Might be your question. Oh, things in the way. Look how far he's playing off here. 10 yards? Not quite. 7, 8 yards. Why are they playing off so much? Same thing all the way across. It's almost like a bracket. Because they've been taking deep shots on them all game. They're scared of it. Or at least they're aware of it, and they're like, well, we can't get beat by that again. So you take what they give. You run the deep choice. He runs him off as soon as that DB turns his hips right there. I'm cutting it back. Boom. Throw is right on time. Play action. Pass protection is not great. Somebody slips through. A blitzer comes through the A-gap on like a twist. Not very good by Skinner. Excuse me, that's Best. Not very good by Best. He's got to stay tight. He left a little space for that gap, and that guy squeezed through it. Stay tight. Keep your hip to hip. You don't let that happen. But because the route was so good, because Brown stood in so strong, they get a huge play out of this. They're almost in field goal range with 5 minutes to go in the game, down 1 point. I just wrote tempo here. They went tempo after that big play. They get a good run out of this. Now they're in field goal range, technically. Not really blocked that well. It's okay. Best does a good job by himself blocking back on 95. Keeps his hat inside. Not bad. Your puller here is Skinner. Good little kick by him. That'll work. He's starting to piss those guys off too. Skinner's a little chippy out there. You like that. You'll take it all day. But that's a good little run. Gets you right there in field goal range. They run the little hitch flat combo I showed you earlier. It doesn't work. They jumped it. Florida did. And then a little tunnel screen that was not quite enough. But they're just trying to get points out of it and take the lead, right? They're not so much worried about that. But Nimrod does a good job of fighting there to get across that field goal range line, but it got jumped. They kind of had an idea of what was coming. Florida did. So they get a field goal attempt out of it. They miss it. It was a long one. You think the game's over, right? Well, their defense gets the stop, and they get the ball back. And they've got 2 minutes and 22 seconds. So it's like 2-minute drill, just a little bit more than 2-minute drill. So they got time, but they're backed up. So they have to have some pace about them. But how do they go about this? This is maybe the most important part of the game for me. And I'm not going to break the plays down too intricately here, but we're going to talk about what they're doing more so. So 2nd and 10, they get a late pressure on Brown. He gets a hand on the ball almost, but that ball comes out strong somehow. Anyway, there you go. He's losing a 1-on-1 there, 51. He just loses. That almost gets him in trouble. But Brown's presence stands out to me right here. He is strong in that pocket. Steps up, delivers a good throw. It's incomplete. Pass interference. 1st down, Bulls. And I wrote here too something. I love these in routes because you have to chase if you're the DB. And when you're chasing, you get in trouble. You start to overcompensate when the ball's in the air. And he got on his back because he was a little bit behind because it was a good route by Singleton. And that's what happens. They get an automatic 1st down. All right. I think they run the ball here. Yeah, and it doesn't get much, if anything. But Skinner, right guard, puts his guy on the ground. You'll see right there. All right, blocking him, gets a little push, now gets him on the ground, and he kind of finishes it. He didn't do anything wrong, in my opinion. He just kind of arm bars him down there on the ground. The guy gets in his face. And again, 2 minutes to go. What does he make the guy do? Because he's just been kind of a pissant to him all day. Here you go. Right here. Spits in his face. I like this about Cole Skinner. He ain't scared of nobody. He's got a little bit of a pissy attitude going on, and he makes people mad. How smart is this guy, by the way? What a genius. What a genius. This is why Florida sucked. Crap like that. All right, here's the big play that broke it open on this drive. And they're not going too aggressive. I mean, this is their screen game like they do. It just broke. They put it in a playmaker's hands, and he did it. Screen, it's not blocked well at all. He makes 2 people miss, 3 people miss, and he's off to the races. Humongous play. Humongous. All right, now to finish off this drive, now they go with their hitch on RPO. That was something they haven't done all game. They pull it out here. They got this backed off coverage because they think, man, they've been taking shots. We got to be careful. All right, we'll just throw little hitches at you. And our receivers will make good plays out in space. I don't even know who that guy is. Good play. 1st down. All right, next play. Offensive line wins big here. Look at Cole Best. He's not really killing 93, but he sure does. He sure does do a good job of being stingy against him. Cole Skinner gets a good kick, and then they just run their GH counter. 15 runs hard. They get an extra push at the end. That's a 7 to 8, almost, let's say 7-yard run on 1st and 10 as the clock's counting down under a minute. Right? All right. Again, next play. Best and Skinner right here. Yes. Big time. Skinner's knocking him off the ball. They get big movement. Then Brown gets in there and pushes. 1st down, Bulls. And then they just run the same thing. They got time to play with. Let's get the best field goal we can. Maybe he scores. He almost scores right there. But they end up winding it down with the same play. And then ball game. There you go. USF takes down Florida in the swamp. What do we think, man? What do we think? I was impressed by that game. I liked a lot of what I saw there. Definitely didn't keep it under an hour. 1 hour 20. Sorry, Zach. But hey, maybe we didn't have to start over too much and edit too much this time. Anyway, hopefully you got to learn something there from that film. And now that we've seen a practice at Auburn, we kind of put it all together. Some of these fundamentals they're working on, some of the things that they're doing from an offensive standpoint, what they rely on, what they do late in a game that's close, how they punch up. I'm going to keep using that instead of being a little bit scared and conservative and tightening things up. Boy, they get aggressive late in games that they're close in. Aggressive, and I love it. I love it. That's what you got to do when you're an underdog. You can't play safe. You got to go for the throat, and they understand that fully, and they set themselves up well to win games like these, right? So, that'll do it for this edition of Pink's show. Next time we will check out the USF Miami game, which I learned a lot from that one, probably the most of any game so far. And we'll have another spring practice under our belts by the time we talk next time. So we'll have some more for you there. Any questions you got, let me know. If you're not with Auburn Sports right now, we have a 50% off annual subscription deal going on. You need to get that while it's hot. And come join us, man. If you're watching this now on YouTube, just know our family over there at Auburn Sports got it way before you did. And it's like that for most things. So come check it out. Appreciate you joining me today on this one. Hope you learned something. And as always, never pass on a playmaker. See ya.